Let's see. Good afternoon, everyone. I am now going to be painting the rest of my mood light portrait. And those of you that are doing this portrait with me, this is how we started it off. The same way that we've done all the other underpaintings in monochromatic. So as you can see here, I have already printed my photo in black and white, and I also have it here in color just so that I can look at the skin tone. Okay, but remember that we are mixing the backlight, the color, the monochromatics, with the skin tone. Now, I'm using turquoise. So basically, what I've done is I've only used this black and white photo to establish all of my values. From the first video that you got, you saw that I had already painted my background, mixing my two turquoise. I chose to do turquoise and light and dark. Now this might appear to look black for the shadow, but it's not. It's the darker turquoise, just straight from the tube. And I have that color here, and it's a Winsor and Newton, and it is phthalo turquoise. But I also have my regular turquoise with gambling. Yes, you can mix different brands of oil paints, no big deal. Okay, so I'm going to put just a little more of my light turquoise, that's what I'm calling it, on my paint palette. And notice how I use a grays matter paint palette so that I can see my colors better. To me, using white kind of dilutes the color, so I try not to do that. And then I'm going to put a little more of my phthalo turquoise in that section. And I have used both of them, mixing it together and adding white. And I've also used the light turquoise with the white, and just a little bit, not a lot. And then I've used the phthalo turquoise, that dark, with the white, mostly that one, to establish my lighter values. And so right now, basically what you see when I drew this out, and I didn't even think about it. We had the blackout, right? And I just got the painting, and I was like, okay, I can't videotape what I'm doing. But at this point, you guys have already been painting underpaintings before, so you're already familiar. The next thing you want to do, and remember that if you're painting on the cardboard using the pastel technique that I'm doing, you must paint on cardboard. And the only thing you need is your oil paints. You really can't use acrylic to create this technique of the chalky pastel look. So you want your terpenoid odorless, okay? And you just need a little bit in a jar. And so that's what I'm doing. I put just a little bit, enough to kind of keep my brush wet. And it's barely like 4 or 5 tablespoons. If I need more, then I can put a little more in there. For this video, I just want to get some more highlights in with the light blue first and touch up some of the form shapes. And remember that when we are painting with the brush, well, when you're drawing with the brush, because I didn't draw this with the pencil first, I simply came in with my brush and started to draw. Okay, and yes, you can do that. You do not always have to take time with a pencil. You can actually draw out your details before you do that. Okay, so I am looking at the shapes, the form shapes, the light values, the dark values, and drawing in those shadow shapes, okay? And how do I do that? I make sure that I have my dark shadow, and I like to say what I always perceive a dark shadow is a light, okay? There's always a light on top of a shadow that keeps me track with creating value, okay? I'm usually never going to have a dark shadow against a dark line, right? Um, so here in her upper lip is where I am establishing that shape, the form shape of her upper lip, paying attention to the triangles and the shape that forms her upper lip. I'm not even worried about it this time of those wrinkles and things that are the small details. I personally like to do small details after I have created and established the shapes. And even though you guys in class can't see this because of my overhead, feel free to just listen to, some of my tips, because you can apply the tips in your painting. And then when you get home, you can watch this on the video. It should be uploaded within the next hour for everyone to view. So again, I'm taking my time. I am establishing all of the lights and the darks, my shadows. And that is called chiaroscuro. When we are establishing all the value, the lights and the shadows, the light within the shadows. Let's see right here. And I want to kind of really express the line that separates her upper lip from her nose, and that line that separates her lips from her chin, and again the lip on the edge from her hand. And notice how I'm looking back and forth from my reference photo to my painting. You must look back and forth to see where those lights and those shadows lay. It's kind of hard to make those up, right? And this is the importance of creating, you guys, thumbnails, and making sure that you have everything sketched properly. Then, the better your sketch, the better your painting, right? Okay, and I think this is not as curved right there. So I'm going to straighten her chin line just a little bit. And notice how I'm still just using my phthalo turquoise and not a lot of this lighter turquoise. I am going to use this light turquoise when I really start to get in her skin tone right there. Okay. But as of now, I really don't have to focus that much on this light turquoise, especially because I'm established in what? Light and shadows. Lights and shadows first. And I might just be able to get in a little bit of this skin tone. And I don't want to do a lot of the skin tone right now. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I don't want to do that. Because I want to grab my blue turquoise light bulb and put it in my light source here. And that's right above my head. You can kind of see it shining on my forehead. and really use that light on here so that when I do the skin tone, I can see the blue on the skin. Okay. I'm keeping my paintbrush relatively wet, but not so wet it's dripping. I have my towel here to get rid of excess water. Now, this lighter blue here, I am going to use to show where her eyeball is and the white of her eyes, because her eyes are sitting in the shadow, guys. Those of you that are painting this with me, I do not want you to show so much white of her eyes. Okay, so this is my photo in color, and I see here where the light is in that eye. So I barely want to put that highlight, and I'm using my lighter turquoise instead of the white with the phthalo turquoise, the darker one, just so that I can have a different value of blue. Okay. hmm Then I'm going to mix the dark one with the light one and get the shape of her eye down really well. You still want to get the shapes of the eye down. hmm Okay. Because there's an eye inside of the glasses, the shadow of the glasses. All right. I'm not going to worry too much about so much highlights with those glasses, but I am going to come in and lay down a couple of lights to show where the reflection of the light is hitting on the glasses, just to keep myself focused on the lights and the darks and the shape. Sometimes we'll lose focus on the shape of the objects because we have so much blended darks and lights. And I'm doing really quick kind of brush strokes, and I don't do a lot of blending. Sometimes I do a lay and leave it method. So I lay the line and I leave it. So now let me come in here and really get some highlights going. Some really brighter turquoise and white highlights. Exactly where I see them on my reference photo. Okay. And under her glasses, some really strong highlights. Keep keep focus with your shapes. Okay, the curves and the lines and the shapes is very important. Because without the shapes, people can't tell what the object is. Okay, they can't really tell what the object is if the shape is all messed up, right? Shapes make up your object. And remember that as a painting student, you've already learned how to draw. So drawing isn't a major factor for you as a painting student, because the prerequisite of this class, though what you should have taken before this class, is um, drawing. I need to darken the white of her eye over on this side. Now remember, it's not really white that I'm doing, it's this white lighter turquoise, but I'm saying it's white just for the purposes of the photo reference. Stick with those shadow shapes really good. Now, it still looks like her eye is in the shadow, yet I can see the darkness of the pupil, and I can see the shadows really well. All right, I'm gonna go right here. All right, and here is another shape right there. Let me put another line to show the glasses. The edge of those glasses have a nice curve to them. Okay, yeah. Back to this reference again. The reflections are just light. It's just light and shadow. All right. More shadows on the edges to really make it look like these are glasses are sitting on her face. And I wasn't going to put her with glasses on. To change my mind, you know what? That shouldn't be there. Let me move her glasses over here to make them smaller. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to close this up right on this side. There we go. Put that all in the shadow. All right. That was just a little better right there. Getting the shadows in. And attention to every shadow detail. Because if I don't, I will miss the shape of the glasses. I'll miss the shape of the forehead. I'll miss the shape of the wrinkles. Everything about her, I'll miss its shape if I don't pay attention to the shadows and how they are formed and shaped. So remember that as you're painting your portrait. All right. So she's even coming to life even more now. That this is the second pass of shadows and lights. Okay, the first one is last week when I got all the values down. All right, now I'm refining those shadow shapes even more. Okay, and I'm really confident in the shape of her face. A little more curve to her cheek. She's an elderly person, so basically her cheek bone is less defined and kind of have drooped down a little bit. So I'm going to make sure that I really express that droop part of that cheek. All right. And another thing, the movement of your brush will also establish the shapes. Okay? You have to really look at the portrait to make sure that you are going in the correct direction that the face is going and the lines are showing. Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit darker right there. Didn't like that. Let's take that off. And even I make mistakes. But this is easy with mistakes. I simply just take the paint thinner, find a clean spot on my, there it is, on my tile, and just simply wipe that um, error off. And sometimes you will find out that your errors that you are making are actually good. Remember to step back when you are painting your photo. You don't want to always look so closely at your artwork. So you'll sit it on the easel, take 3 steps back, and then look at your painting. I always do that so that I can make sure that I'm still on task with the colors and the values and the shapes. If I don't, I'll end up going to myself, oh, this is all meshing together. It doesn't look right. Right? Follow the shapes and doing this crease. Trying to get this crease right between her bottom chin and her lips. This crease here can be probably a little difficult for you guys. So what I would do if I would not make that crease so dark, it's a lighter value than the shadow, okay? But you can see it's still formed. Then proceed on with her lips. Notice how her lips are very thin. There is barely lips. She barely have lips. Um, so just get those lines down the shape of her lip first, then the light underneath the lip. Shadow, then light. What? Shadow, then light. Voila. That's how you establish your shadow values. Shadow, underneath the shadow, light. Right now, I'm pretty confident in the overall shape of her face. So I'm going to leave that alone. No, I'm not. Oops, I lied. Nah, I need to come right in here and do more of a highlight. So I'm going to get a little more white and that light blue. Because I see on her nose that it is way much lighter. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I like it. Okay. I don't want it to be too light. So make sure. Get it in there real good. Droop that chin down just a little more. Right here. Give her a droop. A little more highlight down there. Droop it, droop it, droop it. This part of the chin is a little closer to the shadow. There we go. That's a little better right there. So I'm paying attention to, again, the shadows and the what? The lights. Okay? Now, I'm confident, so I'm looking back and forth. And my person here is looking more so right at me. I'm looking at her eyes and they're staring at me, but the person in my reference is kind of looking down. Um, is that okay? Yeah, it's okay. It doesn't have to be exact unless this was a portrait of a person that we knew. And then if she's looking down, you would actually have her looking down. But for me, I'm kind of liking it. Just her looking at me slightly. There we go. Okay. Touch up the nose. Circle part of that nose. Mm-hmm. Shadow under nose. Looks really good. Shadow shape on the lips. Do a test run. The shadow between the hand and the face look good. I'm gonna get a little more highlight on the finger right there. And it does gradually get darker as it fades away on the hand. Most of that light is hitting right against the line of her finger. Now, am I going to be so defined with the wrinkles in the hand? Probably not. I'm not sure yet because I really want the focal point to go toward her face. And so if I have so much emphasis put on the hand, sometimes we'll lose the attention of the viewer by putting too much emphasis or details in areas that's not important. So remember that in your portrait as well. All right, got that part done, that part. I'm not gonna put any hair yet. I'm not worried about the small details of the hair. We're gonna get that in later, okay? But right now, just making sure we're getting these cones in, the cones and the curves, shapes. And the cones are really in the brow of her forehead. Notice how I'm doing kind of a triangular effect. Not so much triangle that she looks animated though, okay? All right. There we go. So, I'm going to end this video. I'm going to upload it. And then I'm going to start again today on the second part with just showing you a little bit of how to mix your skin tone for her, mixing the turquoise in. So stay tuned, okay?